Hello and welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl, and here we are back for another one of our Warhammer The Old World faction focus videos. We've done the Tomb Kings, we've done the Dark Elves, and now we're going to look at the High Elves. So for those that haven't watched the series before, this is all about looking at the last army book that was released at Warhammer Fantasy Battle, taking a look at the characters and the units to see how they played back in 8th edition, to see how they might play in Warhammer The Old World. The principle being that while the rules may be different, stat lines may be different, their role will be similar, i.e. if it is a unit of very heavy, durable infantry, you'd expect that still to be the case. So it's looking at how they played and the flavour, and maybe seeing what Games Workshop could maybe learn about how, or have learned about how these units play. So for the first episode in the series, same format as before, we're going to be looking at the Lords of the High Elves. So first up is the High Elf Prince, seen here in the picture on the dragon, which was a dual kit with the Dragon Mage of Caledor. Prince overall, as you'd expect, he's got high weapon skill, high ballistic skill, initiative and leadership with low strength, toughness and wounds. Now this is very much a theme for elves. They always tend to have innately low strength, toughness and wounds. By that I mean they're in strength 3, toughness 3. With their weapon skills, however, they're generally a lot higher. Their leadership is always quite high. If we look at the prince in this case, he's got a weapon skill of 7, so leadership of 10, initiative 8. That's quite high. In terms of, he's a typical lord that we've seen, huge number of options, halberds, additional hand weapons, lances, great weapons, spear, longbow and shield. So very, very flexible in terms of how you want to build him, what you want to do with him. He does have the option for light armor, heavy armor, or even dragon armor. Dragon armor specific to the High Elves, giving you a 5+ armor save, 6 plus ward save, and also the Fireborn Wall, which gives you a 2+ ward save against flaming attacks. Or he can have the Lion Cloak as well, which is a 2+ save against non-magical. Mount options, again, plenty of options here. You can put him on a steed, an eagle, a griffin, a Tyrannoc chariot, and then a sun, moon, or star dragon. Star dragon being the most expensive and most powerful. Comes with the basic set of High Elf rules, and you'll see this on nearly every single unit in the game, which is the same. Having seen the Dark Elf roster, and then you'll watch this, you'll see they are very much a mirror image of each other through the units and through their rules. The basic rules here: always strikes first, and also if initiative is equal or higher, that means they reroll misses in close combat. Valor of Ages, so if the enemy roster contains Dark Elves, reroll Panic, Fear and Terror. And then Martial Prowess, which is they can shoot or fight in 1 extra rank than normal. So very much the same as the Dark Elf Lord. I mean, they start off cheap, they get expensive really quickly. By the time you've added equipment, mounts, magic items, you can get expensive really quickly, but they're very flexible. Meaning you can tailor, to the amount of points you have to spend and how you wish to use the character. In terms of how I saw them normally, often people would keep them relatively cheap. You might have they either go like a really expensive prince and tool him up to be immense in melee, or you would keep him cheap, very cheap, and then put him in an elite infantry unit just to give them that bit extra bite. So you do have all of those options there, and it's nice to have such flexibility with the Lord. And he's a Lord, he's pretty much got the pick of the war gear, right? So that absolutely makes sense. Who have we got next? Next up, yes, it's the Archmage High Elves, well known for their magic prowess. Stats-wise, it's your typical caster. All the stats are low, except leadership. In the picture there, you can see that was a box set, came with 2 mages, and you could use them either as an archmage lord or as a mage, and you've got one on foot there, one on a elven steed. No weapon options, but they are level 3 or level 4 wizard if you pay the extra points. They specialize in high magic, but they can use any one of the 8 basic law of battle magic. Mount options are exactly the same as the prince, so you can put them on dragons, you can put them in a chariot, on an eagle, but again, most of the time you saw people putting them in units. That was generally the meta in the 8s to stop them being taken out too early by magic and so on. Though, if you were going to put your mage on a dragon, would you put your archmage? No, you'd probably go down a dragon mage of Calador, and if you were going to have an archmage, hide them away in a unit. Special rules wise, though, they get the additional one this time, which is appropriate to all of the casters of the High Elves, which is Lilius Blessing, which is +1 if they are casting high magic. So, it does kind of push you down that route of going down high magic. So overall, powerful caster, often used with either a cheap fast mount, as it says there, or protected in units of archers. Say the bigger, like dragon units, you tend not to go for those, particularly in the 8th edition. And this is all regarding my local meta. I didn't play global tournaments. I was just, playing in local gaming clubs, local game stores, that sort of thing, doing some small competitive tourneys there, but this is not at a high level. But this was the meta, certainly in my area at the time, which was big, large blocks of infantry with characters in those, much less on cavalry and monsters. Next up is the Anointed of Azurian, and you can see the model there. The model, you get an Anointed if you buy a Phoenix, because the Anointed can ride a Phoenix, as it says down the mount option. So you buy the box, you can either have the Phoenix and then put him on foot, and a base was provided and legs were provided to be able to do that. Brilliant GW. I love the fact that when you give these options, you actually have the options in the box rather than having to convert. So that was great. As you'd expect, high weapon skill, ballistic skill, initiative, and leadership. So pretty standard high elf lord type stats. No weapon options. He comes with a halberd and heavy armor. Heavy armor given the 5+. Of course, if he's mounted, that goes up. And you can put him on the Flamespire or the Frostheart Phoenix if you wish to. On top of the standard high elf rules, he does get the Blessing of Azurian, which is all models in his unit gain a 6+ ward save and are immune to psychology. That's pretty nice. Fear. Enemy unit in base contact must take a leadership test if failed. Which is good. They get -1 weapon skill. Magic resistance, which is you add +2. So you take his ward save that he gets from Witness of Destiny, which is a 4+ ward save, add 2 to that, and he gets a 2+ ward save against magic. So very magic resistant, but he's involved with the Phoenix Guard. So this Lord regularly seen in the battlefield. You can say you got the miniature as part of the Phoenix kit anyway, so a lot of people had a Phoenix. They also had the Anointed. Was nearly always seen on foot. Rarely did I see him actually on the Phoenix. It was generally better to keep them apart. And his buffs are solid, in terms of what he gives his unit. He's decent melee character. He's got good durability. So overall, as your sort of generic Anointed, pretty good character, and say regularly probably seen in a unit of Phoenix Guard, but you could put him in anything. And if you put him in a different unit, giving even a basic unit of spearmen a 6+ ward save is no bad, and making them immune to psychology is no bad thing. So a very good character. Lore Master of Hoth, really nice looking miniature. You can see it there on the right hand side. I really like the miniature, very dynamic, and was definitely reminiscent of the type of sculpting and miniatures that came out in the 8th edition. He's got medium weapon skill, ballistic skill. He does have high initiative and leadership, obviously the low standard options. No weapon options. He comes with his great weapon and heavy armor. And he's a level 2 wizard who always knows all the signature spells from the 8 laws of magic. So in the 8 laws of magic, you've got your spells, but then there is a signature spell. And he knows all the signature spells from each 8 laws of magic. So on top of his always strikes first value of ages and martial prowess, he gets deflect shots, which is a 6+ ward save against non-magical shooting. So the Loremaster, right, despite having a really nice looking miniature, I rarely saw him on the battlefield in my local meta. He's the most expensive of all the lords, and he has this whole issue of the hybrid character, which he's neither the best at magic nor the best at melee. So this is absolutely common when they try and do a hybrid character. It's very difficult to get a hybrid character to have value when you can afford one of each specialization, and this is absolutely common across the board. So yeah, he wasn't seen as much. It's a real shame because he did have a really cool looking miniature. I think a lot of people would include him just for that, but he is, say, the most expensive of the lords at a base level. So there we go. That is the lords of the High Elves. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some flavour of how the lords were and how they might be in Warhammer The Old World. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why in the comments down below. And if you want to see more content, please hit that subscribe button. It's totally free for you to do, and it means a huge amount for me. So thank you for that in advance. You've been watching The Ghost Now. Tune back in and let's take a look at some High Elf heroes.